Episode 4, Renting Reach, Owning Trust.
When we talk about social media and where it does play into all of this, long stories. Another place to include press releases where you can tell the whole story. The app can also do that, but where you can tell the whole story, you can elaborate on things. You can do spotlights and features in addition to your app. But what social media allows is to allow it to be shared publicly, to allow those comments, because one of the benefits of the app is that you don't get public comment streams where folks are spreading misinformation. But sometimes, depending on what you're looking for, you may want public input, and you can say, hey, here's the social media post, leave us your comments. And oh, by the way, send us a tip through the app. But I think that's a really good use case for social media. The other thing is you have to be there. You have to be, because that's where your people are. And so you have to be there to have some type of conversation, but you have to remind them where they're going to get the information without all of the opinions and assumptions, and that's going to be on an app. But how do you use social media, Natalie? How does it fit in?
So I would say yes to the comments and kind of feeling the temperature of the community through those comments, but also social media is still a great recruiting tool. We do videos of our deputies at work. We do, specialized videos of what it looks like, a day in the life or ride-along, things like that. We've done some live ride-alongs. We can't go live in our marked units anymore because it's a law in Texas, but we can delay it by 5 minutes. So riding along with my canine officer, filming him as he's making these stops and then pushing it out 5 minutes later, that got a lot of feedback because a lot of people want to see the behind the scenes. And so especially from a recruiting aspect, those kinds of things are important. And those are things that are going to get a little more traction on social media.
Yeah. And I think what's a great way, because a very strong, robust public safety communication strategy is going to have multiple arms, right? If you don't rely on one ever. And so in that scenario, because I am going to point back to the app, I would be remiss not to, but ultimately let's push out information on social media about our recruitment efforts. Let's show these live ride-alongs. Let's get input. Let's have people asking questions. If you have comments turned on, not everyone does, and I understand both sides. But ultimately, if you're interested in learning more about our open positions, or you want to go ahead and move forward with signing our waiver to move through the application process, don't forget to download our app where you can do so in the palm of your hand. And that's where you start to connect these arms of a robust communication strategy to make it as strong as possible. Same thing with media. Traditional media, it may be thinner, but it's not going to go away. And you're going to be able to put out a press release or talk to that media representative and say, here's the latest on this high profile situation. We just had the press conference. Here's what we can give you now. Please remind your listeners and your viewers to download our free mobile app so that they get the information immediately, because the community needs to know what's going on. I especially think of like hurricane season and weather events, right? I mean, that is where you're finding them everywhere they can be. And, they're all going to have a cell phone. So,
right. Exactly.
Even when they're on social media, they're doing it from their cell phone. And so you can reach them there. So really, really powerful to have that system. And I think that's a strong takeaway for our listeners today. One of the immediately applicable on Monday morning strategies is figure out what your arms of communication are, where they fit together and can bridge and promote each other, and where maybe there's certain circumstances where this one makes more sense than this one to get certain information out, I think can be really powerful. And I want to talk again about relationship, because relationship is so critical. And while social media is a great way to do that, you can also do that through the app and send out this information. And I want to highlight FEMA actually has a course that you may be aware of. They have a training certification called the 95-5 concept. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And the perspective here, the theory here is only 5% of your communication is going to happen during a critical incident. 5%. And it's going to be very important information, very heavy 5%, but you have to have that 95% beforehand, where you've built a relationship, where your community trusts you, where they believe in you, they hear you, before your 5% holds any value. Same thing you said, they just put a name on it.
Interesting.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So when we look at that, the other thing, because I know you do, because you do a lot of really neat things, Natalie, from your lens as a PIO, those relationship builders. And, obviously talking about social media, because that's a great place to take it through. What's some of that content, using your PIO lens, leaning on your social media expertise, incorporating your use of the app as well? What type of content do you seek out, in addition to your ride-alongs? That was a great example, to build a relationship with your community. What things are you highlighting?
So we try to highlight the stories of our employees, right? We call it a podcast. It's not on Spotify. We do it live on Facebook to get that interaction. And so it's a way that we can tell the stories of our employees. And then we can also use the app to link it back to our YouTube, because once it's done on Facebook, we put it up on YouTube, and then we have ways for people to watch it after. From a PIO perspective, I feel like it is my duty to let the public know what our people are doing and how great our employees really are. And especially in the jail, it's harder because they're not out in the public. Our deputies get, seen doing things all the time. We don't see the day-to-day of our jailers often. And so I try to keep the community informed of what they're doing and how their job isn't easy, and they show up and do it every day anyways. And I think that really humanizes their job and the people that work here. I also like we had over the summer, we had two local baseball teams going to the state championship. And I think those kinds of things need to be celebrated. And our deputies helped, escort them out of the county. And so that was fun. But making sure that the community knows that we know what's going on. We have our finger on the pulse of our community. We know what's important to you guys, and we're going to show you what we're doing around those things is also important as well.
Great examples. And so Stark County is, of course, Pro Football Hall of Fame city, right? And so that's Hall of Fame, it's football city there in Canton, Ohio. And so we always had the Pro Football Hall of Fame ceremony and the enshrinement ceremony. And our deputies are, I loved going to those where they all complained about it, but they all loved it when they were driving the golf carts around for the Hall of Famers, and the Hall of Famers were in the back getting an escort to their car, or their limo.
Absolutely.
They loved it. Stop it. We know.
Yeah.
But snapping those pictures and getting those on Facebook, on the app, to say, hey, look, our folks are real people. They are part of this community. But then also balancing that with when we set someone to an FBI level training, when we set someone and they got a certificate, or they went to a national training to level up their investigative technique. And I think that balances that relationship with, we're real people, we're here, we live here too, we're approachable, but we mean business when we need to, and we're ready to hit that button on when we need to, and we're protecting you, and you can trust us and you can rely on us. And what a great way to balance that. And again, that's where you look at your multiple tools in a robust system. You're sending that information out, putting out the push notification on an app to say, hey, we have these teams that are going off to the championship. Don't forget, traffic's going to be delayed because of that escort that we're proud to give to these soon-to-be champions. And then you can extend that over to social media to let them comment about that, because you want those comments,
Right. Absolutely.
You want to hear that. And so it really comes down to having that robust system. And, you mentioned the jail, which I have to, because we were in the same boat in Stark County, and prioritizing the corrections officers as much as the deputies to say, hey, this is what they're doing. And actually for recruitment, one of our topics, and I'm not sure that this is everywhere, but in Ohio, there's a goal of 30 by 30. And the 30 by 30 goal is 30% female employees per agency by 2030. And so We were trying to further diversify based on gender to get more women in the field. And so that was a really great opportunity to highlight the women doing the job, the sergeants and the captains at that level that say, you can do this too. And what a great way to put that in a robust system, put that in your app with the link on how to fill out the waiver or apply, and then put that on social media so folks can ask questions and you can engage with them. And it's just all about that robust system, right? And so social media has its place.
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely. As a social media marketer, I would be remiss to say that it doesn't, because it absolutely does. Yes.
And it does. And I like the example too. And I use this because in Stark County, when the sheriff that I had the honor to serve next to was coming on board, there was an outdated radio system. And so at times, and this has been 10 plus years ago, at times you would have folks on scene picking up a cell phone to call somebody because the radio just wasn't adequate, right? So one of his first initiatives was to change over to an entirely new system, which was way more interconnected. But the point here is, can you talk to someone on a cell phone and a radio? Yes, you can. Social media and a mobile app you can communicate with. But is it appropriate on the scene of a crime or scene of investigation to pick up your cell phone and call somebody, or use your emergency radio? And that's, I think, a really great example when you look at social media and an app or working with your media. They all communicate, and you need to be everywhere because of that. But also know when it makes most sense to tell what story where. And that helps build this layered communication strategy. But it doesn't have to be more work. And I want to leave folks with that today, because you and I both have felt that. I mean, you were helping with updates in the patrol room, right? You have that on your plate too. Now, in fairness, they're communicating in the patrol room, so we can make a bridge there.
Right. It's more about the perception of the agency at that point, because we do have a lot of trainings in there as well. Yeah. So that was the link there. Yeah. But it may have been my idea. I'm like, hey.
I'm not surprised by that at all. But there's a lot of buckets that you're handling, and communication is so foundational to so many different areas. You do get pulled when you're the communication professional, or even if you're the executive leader there in an agency, communication is foundational. And so I think a big takeaway today is utilizing social media, utilizing a mobile app, utilizing your traditional media, getting creative with other ways, doing the print flyers and literature, putting up a billboard when you have the funding to do so. All of those things work together. And that is, figure out what you're able to do, what you are doing, make a list, and know where you can put communication and strategize that a little bit, right? When you do a don't drink and drive campaign, when you have a high profile situation, you need to do a press conference, what's the follow-up from there? Stay connected. And there's things you don't always want comments on. And that's where app is really great.
Exactly. Yes. You can let people know what you're doing without getting the negative feedback that is coming. And a quick example of that. So we have a game room. The county has okayed the use of game rooms, not gambling, but game rooms. And we all know that if there's a game room, they're paying out. If it's making any kind of money, if it's staying open, it's paying out illegally in the state of Texas. And so we have cases where we go out and we shut these game rooms down. And without fail, because people don't understand that these game rooms are fronts a lot of times for gangs, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, all of these other money laundering, all of these things we find when we investigate these game rooms. The public doesn't understand that. All they know is grandma just wants to go and spend her Social Security money. Grandma wants to go and spend her Social Security money on this gambling machine. Why are you even going in there and messing with them? And we have tried on social media to explain, this is why we do it. This is what we have found in these other game rooms, even so far as to go into statistics. And the public doesn't want to hear it. And so what I have found is we still need to let the public know this is what we're doing, especially if we're going to have a heavy presence in the area. But it doesn't necessarily need to go on social media because the backlash, we're never going to beat that. So it's informative. We send it out on the app. We have almost 180,000 downloads. So we know it's hitting a lot of people and it'll hit the media, but it's not going to be all that negative feedback on our social media page.
You get to say the statement without having to say no further questions at this time.
Exactly. Yes.
Here it is. There it is. It's out there, and that's all for now.
We're still being transparent. We're still letting you know what we're doing, but we don't want to hear you gripe about it.
Correct. And what's nice too is you can point to that as a resource, right? So if you are on social media and you're looking at those little community groups, because we do that too, what are people saying about this recent, sting that they know we did and gets out there? And if you share information, and you have to be careful not to get caught into the conversation on social media. Most of the time, just know that it's there, be aware, keep an eye on it, but say nothing in many cases. But when you have the opportunity to debunk misinformation with a hard resource, you can take a professionally polished agency voice and say, I understand your concerns, or we understand your concerns. Don't forget, you can always reach out to us with questions. Here's the email. The updated information and a statement from our sheriff can be found here, along with all other credible information from our agency. Here's how you download our free app. You're not arguing. You're not getting into a battle with them. You're flexing the fact that you have this solid resource that they can go find the information themselves.
That's actual information. Exactly.
And so the only other thing I will say about social media that is critical to say is a 1.5 to 2% organic reach is always in play. So, always have something to back up, especially if you're looking for applications or you're looking for event signups or training participation, especially when you are trying to get information like that out, or critical safety information and protocol or agency updates. Have a place to send them have a place to send that information out where you reach all 80,000. Right? Because social media, 1.5% of 80,000 is not enough.
Right. Absolutely.
Do both.
Yes, do both.
Well,
I just have to say it's 180,000.
100. That's a big deal. No, correction.
Can't be shortchanging me.
Not at all. 180,000, and that's huge. What's your population size there?
It's like 360.
So that is massive.
That's massive.
So in Stark County, I think when I stepped down from that role, we were right around the 170 with 390,000. And I think that marketing that was put in play, like you're doing now, that carries you through. They're right around 200,000 downloads now. Yeah. Not that it's a competition, Natalie.
Michaela, you're not there anymore.
I'm challenging you to go ahead and push for that other 20,000.
I'm working on it. Okay. We do get 1.5 to 2 million clicks a week, though. So
that's phenomenal.
That. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I love having you on just about anything that we do. It's always so much fun to talk with you. And I would just remind those that are listening, of course, don't forget to download and subscribe to On the Record, the public safety brief. Our goal here is to bring folks in the trenches, folks that are experts and have seen it firsthand, like Natalie and the other folks that we'll be talking to break it down to where we can pull back the layers of best practices. Not just talk in theory, though, because we don't have time to decipher theory all the time. We need an action plan. We need steps 1 through 5 to accomplish this in our agencies and for our communities. We're going to be doing that through these episodes to come. And so stay with us, subscribe to our channel. Definitely send in your questions. If you have topics that you want covered, please send those to us as well. And we'll put that contact information in the description of the podcast below. So check that out. But again, Natalie Williams, the one and only from Nueces County, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's always a blast to chat with you and get to talk about what we do. Not everybody wants to listen to it. So
we'll have a great conversation. Well, at least be entertaining if anything, right?
That's right.
Well, thank you so much.
You care way more about my job than my husband does, so that's great.
Well, maybe we need to have him on as a guest at some point.
Right.
We'll revisit that down the road.
I like it.
Well, thank you all again to our viewers and our listeners, and we will be back again next month with another episode of On the Record, the Public Safety Brief.